So we currently face a little issue which, while not significant, should not be occurring. Consequently, we are still tabulating ballots. Some states, such as Florida and Texas, have populations exceeding tens of millions. All ballots are counted, including provisional ballots and any other kind. They tally every individual ballot throughout both states, encompassing approximately 50 to 60 million individuals. The ballots are counted expeditiously within 1 day across the merged states. 10 days post-election, several states, particularly California, continue to tally ballots. They ultimately achieved 92% completion. Although the results will not influence the election and not every subsequently counted ballot is incorrect, significant questions surrounding election integrity persist in light of this entire situation, particularly when they boast in certain states about overtly violating the law to generate awareness or provide a convoluted rationale in an attempt to undermine Democrats and potentially secure an unexpected Senate seat which they are ill-equipped to manage.
We reject all three categories of these ballots.
And that is evident. We are discussing Pennsylvania. Numerous networks have declared Pennsylvania will be in favor of Dave McCormick. Despite their efforts, they will attempt to usurp it from him. It appears improbable that it will occur since the margin of ballots, albeit having narrowed, remains substantial. They are aware of that. They will contest certain subsequent ballot counts in court. The RNC has prevailed in such instances. However, their actions are utterly absurd. It is a reality that 10 days post-election, ballot counting remains ongoing. Only a few hours ago, they were still tallying ballots. It is really absurd. The provisional ballots, regardless of their designation, are currently being counted. Moreover, they are not sufficiently undermining the Democrats to necessitate such actions. However, numerous mail-in ballots are lacking appropriate dates and adequate postage. They are unable to quantify them. They were able to enumerate them in 2020. The RNC is actively retaliating this time. They were unable to enumerate them. Certain county authorities from specific counties are publicly boasting about defense procurement. The Supreme Court mandates assistance for Bob Casey in an effort to counter Dave McCormick. It is absurd at this juncture, utterly preposterous. This race concluded some days ago. It has been several days since the conclusion, yet they continue to search for potentially invalid ballots. They are boasting about it. They are indeed. It is asserted that it is inconsequential due to the prevalence of legal violations among many individuals. If I contravene the law, it is to draw the court's notice. That is not the correct procedure. That is like to stating, I intend to commit theft at a convenience store. However, I merely desire the court to acknowledge the regulation. That is incorrect. You are tallying votes that ought not to be included. Those votes are unlawful. The judiciary rendered a decision. The Texas Supreme Court determined that those ballots are illegal. They governed. This matter has been repeatedly presented to the Supreme Court by opportunistic individuals on the left, such as Mark Elias. They attempt to amend the electoral legislation. The RNC retaliates against it. The former RNC would just be overwhelmed. This phenomenon has often manifested throughout our nation's history. Many individuals reference 2020. However, there are more overt instances in straightforward Senate contests where ballots are discovered at the last moment, some of which are questionable, and those ballots are permitted to be counted. The 2008 Senate race in Minnesota serves as a notable illustration. The previously stated Mark Elias played a crucial influence in this election. Norm Coleman secured victory in the initial tally. Subsequently, Al Franken's campaign discovered many cartons of votes. Al Franken prevails in the recount. It is asserted that these ballots are eligible for counting, regardless of the margin by which he ultimately prevails, winning by hundreds of votes. The Senate seat changes hands. The election was significantly closer than that of Pennsylvania. I do not have specific concerns regarding Dave McCormick. A multitude of decision desks, including Fox, VAP, and the Red Eagle Politics Decision Desk, have forecasted him as the victor. We can essentially affirm that Dave McCormick will be the forthcoming senator. However, they are endeavoring to prevent that occurrence. Possible signifies necessary, due of Bob Casey's lack of success. He is too emotional and benefits from nepotism. Moreover, he does not align with his father's political views. He is engaging in fraudulent schemes. He has been exploiting his name throughout his entire career. He contributed nothing of value. The father was a genuine moderate Democrat. He was cherished by Republicans, Independents, and Democrats within the state. He was comparatively conservative. Bob Casey feigns conservatism. Although he is not Bob Casey Sr., he is Bob Casey Jr. He is fundamentally merely the remnants, and they are minimal. You possess a partisan vote for the Democratic establishment. He is unable to cope with defeat. The individual who said Trump was malevolent in 2020 stated so due to his refusal to capitulate, citing probable anomalies among other factors, and he stated that one must take the initial move. He proceeded to assert that this is democracy. Trump was undermining democracy. They established the regulations. Negative. This topic does not pertain to us, by the way. If a Republican were behaving in this manner, they would undoubtedly be exhibiting a temper tantrum. However, given that it is Bob Casey, it poses no issue. Kari Lake essentially issued a concession statement on her social media. Conversely, Bob Casey argues that the struggle will continue, advocating for the counting of these ballots, notwithstanding their illegality and the acknowledgement of their illegitimacy. Contemplated. This case will need to be escalated to the court, and the number of counted ballots remains uncertain. However, it is evident that developments in Bucks County, Pennsylvania are aimed at constraining Trump's margin of victory at the 11th hour. He is unlikely to lose Pennsylvania. However, in Bucks County, the provisionals effectively, while is resulted in a draw. Trump is ahead there by several hundred votes. It is absurd. It is absurd. This election concluded some days ago. What is causing the delay in counting these ballots? Why are you boasting about tallying ballots that are not eligible for counting and cannot be lawfully counted? What is the reason for this occurrence? What causes some states to count ballots at an exceedingly slow rate? In California, how many days were required to reach 92%? Approximately 13 to 14 million votes. Observe Texas at this moment. Texas and Florida together account for 20 million. They were enumerated that evening, the evening of, possibly slightly the following day, but on the night in question. A significant majority in the 1990s throughout both states were enumerated. Perhaps if you possess several military ballots in the forthcoming days, they often align with the Republican Party. However, it is advisable to include the majority of them in advance to ensure their participation is accounted for. However, it is absurd. Donald Trump is returning to the White House. There exists a Republican trifecta, and it is hoped that they retain the Senate seat in Pennsylvania. I am confident that they will. However, they must ensure they can contest certain potential late ballots as well, because the intentions behind some of them remain unclear, because they are boasting about some actions not complying with the law. However, it is seen acceptable as individuals frequently violate the law. We are doing this action to attract the court's notice. What does that signify? The gaslighting is egregious. They are manipulating individuals in plain sight. Consequently, they ponder why individuals scrutinize elections in this nation. They ponder the reasons for being interrogated. I ponder the reason. I am curious as to why they are subjected to interrogation. Why do you believe individuals will be distrustful of elections when you boast about contravening the rule of law and disregarding the Supreme Court's ruling? What is the reason? The election system is ineffective for one party. Secondly, individuals are essentially boasting about contravening the law. Additionally, there are individuals such as Bob Casey. We are still competing in this race. No, you forfeited this race several days prior. The following day, we may assert that Casey has officially underperformed. It is astonishing to many, yet it is the reality. His coping method appears to be portraying himself as the election skeptic he accuses all Republicans of being. It appears that your side is repeating the behavior, and currently you are somewhat lagging. If you were somewhat ahead and McCormick was initiating lawsuit after lawsuit, we can anticipate the reply. Oh, disgruntled competitor, Alexander Denier. Ultimately, in numerous instances, those lawsuits may be warranted, whereas these lawsuits are not warranted. We must initiate countersuits against these individuals for their actions. It is tallying votes. The votes are invalid. That is the matter. These votes are invalid. It is repeatedly stated that approximately 100,000 ballots remain in Pennsylvania. There is not. Fewer than 100,000 ballots remain. It appears that there are certain transitory measures, which is absurd. They have not yet been tallied. It is a manifestation of extreme incompetence. Even states such as Georgia completed their counting in a single day, North Carolina, together with all these states, on a particular day. Pennsylvania is unable to accomplish it. Michigan also did. Despite my skepticism over certain turnout statistics in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all votes were counted by 6:00 a.m. However, Pennsylvania is not included. What is the duration of ballot counting following the election in a Senate race? Once more, while it will not alter the outcome, it remains absurd to witness individuals engaging in such behavior. It is really absurd. The Democrats are attempting to secure the Senate race in Pennsylvania. They are attempting to seize it from McCormick. Will it be effective? Likely not. However, they are publicly boasting about their legal transgressions, which is utterly reprehensible. It is anticipated that the DOJ will pursue legal action against these individuals and incarcerate them as they are flagrantly violating the law. They exist. We must ensure that as a national initiative, voter identification is implemented in every state and that elections are conducted properly in each state, as this is crucial. The RNC has taken measures to safeguard itself against numerous potential irregularities. In certain instances, one could contend that it was insufficient. I consider Wisconsin to be the most dubious. However, Pennsylvania's actions are a disgrace. Bob Casey ought to feel a sense of humiliation. However, that is the manner in which it transpired